we have discussed about the different models in the operation research. So today we are going to start with the queuing model. So let us start with the presentation. So my presentation will go through the introduction. We'll study about the cost of service. We'll also discuss about real life examples on situations, the structure of a queuing model, calling population characteristics, and queuing process. So what is a queuing model? So let us go to introduction. So what is a waiting line? Waiting line is the number of customers waiting at the various service stations. For example, it can be a bus stop, it can be a bank, it can be a reservation counter, and so many other applications. So how do we say that there is a queue formation? So a queue is formed at the production or service center when the customers waiting for service are exceeding or the service facility is not efficient. For example, let us say that we are going to a bank, and if we are going to a bank, there are say two counters, and the number of persons going to bank is say 200, then there will definitely be a queue because the number of customers have exceeded the service facility available to service the customers. Say, for example, you are going to a State Bank of India. Now, the State Bank of India, people there are working are not that efficient. They are not well aware with the computing system. So, if you go to that kind of a bank, even if there are five counters, there will be certainly sometimes queues because the service facility is not efficient. So, I'm not saying that State Bank of India is not efficient. I'm just kidding about it. But the idea to give here is that the queue will be formed only if the customers exceed or if the service facility which is servicing the customers are not efficient. So these type of problem arises when there is a queue because everybody of us know that we do not like to stand in a queue. And think about the person who is giving the service. For example, if you are supposed to go to a bank or if you are supposed to go to a bus stop, you are standing in the queue for getting the tickets, and there is a huge line or a larger line where you have to stand in for the ticket. You are standing for almost half an hour. So what do you think? Let us forget bus, let us take a taxi. So what happens to that particular bus or the service provider? He gets a loss. So this type of problem is called as queuing model. So what we are intended to do here, we are intended to restrict the customers leaving the service station before getting serviced. Okay, so we want that the customer should be serviced. So that is the priority. Now what is the cost that is involved in the process? So if we see there are certainly certain costs that are involved in this process. So let us understand what is called as total cost of service. So there are basically two costs. One is the cost of service being provided, and the second is cost of waiting customers per unit time. Now, why this is called cost of waiting? See, if the customer is waiting and if the customer leaves the service, you are not bound to get the profit out of that customer. So there is a loss to the company. So that is a cost to the company. If the customer is waiting, they may be provided a lounge. Okay, so if you are going to a service station, for example, if you are going to a service station of your bike, you see then when there is a free service, there will be a lounge where you can sit. So these services being offered in the lounge are being charged to the company. That is not charged from the customer. So that is a cost incurred by the company. So there is a cost of waiting for customer, as well as there is a cost of operating. Say for example, if I am creating a lot of service station but there aren't enough customers, then that is the cost being occurred to the company. So for example, if I have a petrol pump, there are, let's say, 5 petrol pumps I have been installed at the one service station. So if I have 5 petrol pumps and the number of customers arriving at this petrol pump is very less, say for example, if this petrol pump is in the rural area, the lot of customers will not be coming to that particular location. But if it's a highway, you will see that there will be a lot of customers. So if there is a lot of customers, then there will be a cost of waiting. If there is a lot of service providers but no customers, then there is a cost of operating the service. So there are basically these two lines. One is increasing with the level of service, which is called the cost of operating the service facility per unit time. So if you are increasing the level of service, say for example, I have one petrol station, then I have two petrol stations, then I have three petrol stations, four petrol stations, five petrol stations. So as the number of petrol station increases, the cost of operating them, because at these petrol stations I'll require a person who can fill the petrol, who operates these pumps. So you have a cost associated with that person. Then these pumps will require certainly some amount of electricity. So that is also one cost associated with the cost of operating that facility. If we are not providing that facility, then what? Then the customer arrives at the petrol pump, see that there is a long queue, so he leaves the queue and he doesn't get the service, he doesn't get the petrol filled at that particular station. So that is a cost, that profit that he was not able to make out of that customer is the cost of waiting customers per unit time. So we need to have an optimal level of service such that the total cost is minimal. So what we see here is the total cost is the summation of cost of waiting customer per unit time to the cost of operating service facility per unit time. So we see that this is the total cost. So we see that the total cost decreases with the increase of level of service, and at certain point it becomes minimum. Then again it starts increasing because the cost of operating the service facility per unit time keeps on increasing, so that we get the total cost higher. So at this point is called the optimum level of service. So what we are interested in finding for the queuing model, we are interested to find this optimal service level where the total cost of operating a service should be minimal. We are not considering the price of petrol here. What we are considering? We are considering only the profit which is lost if the customer is going away, and we are considering the cost of operating the pump if we are increasing the number of petrol pumps. So we are not including the service. Service is no matter whether it's a petrol station, whether it's a bus station, whether it's a reservation counter. This can be applied anywhere. Now, if we move on further, we see some real life examples based on some situations. Say, for example, as I was saying, petrol pumps or petrol stations, the automobiles or the bikes or cars or various automobiles are the customers. And what is the service facility? Service facility is the pumps, personals. Okay, then there is hospital. In hospital, who are the customers? Patients are the customers. What is the service facilities? Nurses, doctors, rooms are the beds. Nowadays, we see that there is a lot of fight over the beds. If you go to a government hospital, you may find that the government hospital, one bed, two patients are lying. So this type of problems are associating because they do not understand the need for queuing theory. If they could have understood the need for queuing theory, then there would have not been a problem for the beds. They would have understood that these many beds are essential and they would have bought that particular beds. Okay, so this indicates that there is a lagging in understanding for queuing model. Then another example could be airports. In airports, aircrafts can be the customers. These aircrafts need runways to either take off or to land down. So they have runways as the facilities, because aircrafts can be of different companies. You can have SpiceJet, you can have Jet Airways, you can have Vistara, you can have different aircrafts. Okay, all these aircrafts are not belonging to a single airport. There can be different airports. These airports, what they provide? They provide service. Service for what? They provide service for runways, and these aircrafts either land in or take off from that particular runway. Okay, then there is post office. Post office, we have letters. Letters are to be sorted. Now, what is this sorting system? Sorting system are the system where we sort the letters based on their pin codes. So why it is necessary to write the pin code? Because only the pin code a postman can understand where the letter needs to be dropped in. Okay, so that is why we say that there is a need for the pin coding system. That is a coding system which is used for sorting of the letters. Then job interviews. Job interviews will be applicants, the aspirants who wants to get the job, and interviewers are the service provider. They judge the capability of the person, whether he can be offered a job or not. So this is also a type of a queuing model. You can see sometimes a few years back there was a open drive at I think one of the multinational companies in Bangalore, and there was a huge crowd. People were a lot of people were waiting for the queues, and they could not understand that such a huge crowd could be available at such an open drive. So that they were not able to understand how to handle that queues. So that is the problem. So you need to identify how many applicants can come for an interview, what can how many panels we should have. If, say for example, if you are taking going for an interview for a PSC, Public Service Commission company, you will see that there will be 2 or 3 panels. Then there is a cargo trucks, where you have trucks being loading and unloading. Then there is workshops, your cars, machines that needs to be prepared, or that needs to be maintained. So this maintenance can be done by the floor space by the mechanic. But for mechanic, it requires a floor space. So floor space is also one facility. Then factories we have employees we have punching machine is what, actually this is a somewhat older version of the book, so from there I have taken these examples. So punching machine is like your biometric machines, where you punch in your key in your thumb and you get the attendance. Cafeterias, where you go and have your lunch food, that is the service facility that is being provided to customers like employees. Now these are some of the real life examples. There can be various other examples that you can take into consideration, but these are some of the examples that I have taken into consideration. Now let us move to what is the structure of a queuing theory. How do we analyze this structure? So what we know is that there is some population which is called as calling population. I'll tell you what are the characteristics of this calling population later, but understand that there is an input source. There is a source from where the customers are coming in, and then they are going in a waiting line or a queue. Then this queuing, from this queue they are going to a service process or a mechanism. For example, if we say that the highway is the source for the automobiles to arrive at a petrol pump. So let us say that this is a petrol pump. So this is the waiting area where the car or bike would be waiting before they are being serviced at the pump. So this is the pump. So this is called the service facility. This is called the waiting area, and this is the input source or calling population. Okay, now this calling population, let us continue with the example of our petrol pump. So this highway which is being used as the input source. Say for example, on this highway, there are 5 cars traveling in the direction of the petrol pump. 3 of the car owners see their fuel meter and they realize that they have half of the fuel tank filled, whereas the half is empty. One of the person, he is seeing that there is almost the fuel tank is about to end, or the fuel in the fuel tank is about to end. So he is in a desperate need of a service or petrol to be filled in, or diesel to be filled in. And the 5th one, this last one, he sees that there is a fuel tank is full. He doesn't need any petrol pump. So if you see now this calling population, the calling population will not be 5 here. Why? This calling population is 4. Why 4? Because there is no need for the fifth car owner to go into the petrol station because his petrol tank is full. So he doesn't need it. So what is the characteristic of a calling population? The characteristic of a calling population is when they have a desire to get service and they have the capability of getting service. Say, for example, on this same highway, there is a person who is uh, riding a bike. Bike means not motorbike. He is riding a bicycle. Okay. Now he may be having a desire to go into petrol pump, but he doesn't have the capability. That is the finance or the funds required to go to get the service in the petrol pump. Where will he use the petrol? Because he's riding a bike, he doesn't need it. So there is either a desire as well as when it is backed up with the capability, then only we call it as a calling population. That is the population from which we can expect the person to get into the line. Now you see that there are 4 calling population. Now out of this 4, they one who's desperate, who is having fuel tank empty, enters first. Okay, and he, since there is nobody in the line, so he gets into the service process. Okay, he goes to the pump and the pump starts filling because it's a fuel tank. Fuel tank is say 500 liters or 100 liters, so it will take some time to get the service. By the time the other 3 members enters into the petrol pump area, 2 of them wait for the queue. Okay, whereas the other one, the third one, he sees that there is a waiting line and 3 people are already in the queue, or one is being serviced and 2 are already in the queue, so he doesn't join the line. If he is not joining the line, then it is called balk. Okay, that is balk. He doesn't join the line. So this is one of the customer who was a probable customer, but he didn't join the line. We are not much bothered about bulk because this depends upon the queuing length as well as the mood of the customer here. But if he joins in, so for example, if we continue with our earlier example, so there are 2 people waiting in the queue, but the other one, the one who's waiting at the back, he got frustrated. He said that enough of time, I don't want to wait anymore, I will leave the queue. So he, after joining the queue, he, the one after joining the queue, he left and is called renege. Okay, so this renege is mean that a person or a customer joins the queue but doesn't follow the queuing pattern and leaves the queue. The last one, the one who is waiting in the queue, he was waiting. By the time he saw that the other person on the other service station started the service, so one is filling here, the other person came with the other service station, so he jockeyed to the other line. So if you see, this was only one line, but now he sees that there is one more line and there is no one waiting at that service center, so he jockey in or hop in to the other line. So that is why we call it a jockey. He hops from one line to another line, and when both of them get serviced, they go into departure. So this is the structure of your queuing theory. So what we have in the structure of the queuing theory, we have, there is a service or a service process or a mechanism. For example, it can be a petrol pump. So you have a pump here where the people are to be serviced or automobile are to be serviced. Then there is a waiting area. This waiting area is dependent upon the space. This waiting area is also dependent upon the number of customers or the mood of the customers. See, you can see here that a person may not join the line, he may balk. A person may join the line but renege after joining the line, and then there can be a jockey which can hop from one service station to another service station. And then the last one or the first one is the calling population. So calling population have three characteristics. Either they will be balking, renege, or jockey. If these are not to be followed, then they are being serviced in the desperate manner, that is first coming in, first going out. Then there are various methods of going into service. Now that we will discuss in the next class. So I hope this is good enough for you. You have understood what is a queue, what is the application, where it can be applied, what are the characteristics of a calling population, how is the structure of a queuing theory. So we'll end our class today here. Thank you so much.